Okay, good morning to you. I wanted to make a quick video entitled How to Find the True Sabbath Days. The truth be told, I was working on this about 3 years ago while I was at Veterans Village, and I had taken a bunch of notes. And as I began to search for a house, I became preoccupied with it. In the process of moving, I set it aside. But now that I've moved and I've been here a year and I've settled in, I picked back up my notes, and it's necessary to show you a true video on how to track and find the true Sabbath days. The Sabbath day does not fall on the same day, Saturday, from year to year. Okay? You have a lot of Hebrew Israelites, and I, for the sake of just simplicity, I just continued with the Sabbaths and tracking it on Saturdays, because I knew that once I got moved in, I prayed that once I settled down, I would pick up the notes and be able to make this video. So here we go. Why the Sabbath is not constant every year. First, you have to go to the book of Enoch. I'm going to read a few scriptures. The book of Enoch, chapter 74, verse 12. Now, the book of Enoch is not a book that you can just read and set it aside. You have to study it. You have to set it down. You have to come back. You have to take notes, because Enoch was so detailed in his meticulous recordings of how the heavenly bodies move and the true times and days and season that the angel Uriel showed him. But nevertheless, we're only interested in one verse. And it reads as follows. Again, that's Enoch chapter 74, verse 12. Okay, you can read all of it another time. Matter of fact, let's go back to verse 10. Okay. No. We're just going to do 12 because I'm doing that because Enoch is a very complicated book. And the sun and the stars bring in the years exactly, so that they do not advance nor delay their positions by a single day unto eternity. So he's telling you that the sun and the stars, not the moon, brings in the days with perfect justice for eternity. And here's the last part of that verse. But complete the years with perfect justice, and listen, 364 days. Okay? 364 days is the true biblical year. Now, we know a Sabbath is actually called seventh day. Okay? 7 can go perfectly into 364 days, exactly 52 times. Thus, there are 52 weeks in a year. Now, according to our Gregorian calendar, which is totally off, we have 365 days, right? We all know that. So how do you resolve that? So if the Sabbath, which most people contend is on a Saturday, on a Gregorian calendar, which boasts 365 days, we'll get you a quick calculator. Take 365 and divide it by 364. And your answer will be a fraction. It will be 1 over 364. And what that fraction is telling you, that 1 over 364 is telling you that there's an excess day. But by it being a fraction, which is less than 1, is telling you that you have to subtract that day from 365 to bring it into perfect justice again with 364. So what that tells you, and I'm going to give you an example. If the Sabbath is Saturday this year, come next year, the Sabbath is going to fall back a day and it'll be Friday for that whole year. Then the following year is going to revert back to Thursday. Now remember, a leap year has 366 days. I think a leap year occurs every 4 years. So wherever there's a leap year, what do? You fall back 2 days instead of 1. So the true Sabbath does not stay the same on a Saturday. So I started tracking the Sabbath and making these notes about 3 years ago. Now this is how you find it. We're in the Gregorian calendar year 2023. Today's date is April 18th. Today is the day of preparation. It's a Tuesday. The true Sabbath is Wednesday. The last day of the biblical year, and I didn't make mention of all this until now. The new moon was seen in the heavens on that Thursday. And then we counted 14 days from that, which was Passover. And the Feast of Unleavened Bread was 7 days. So there's this thing called Stonehenge. We all know about that. Stonehenge, they don't know how it was built, but it was built by angels, fallen angels or what have you. But there's something unique that occurs on Stonehenge, and we have tools in this day to help us track the true Sabbath. According to the book of Jubilees and Enoch, there are exactly 13 weeks in between seasons. I won't get into the math and everything. I may touch on it briefly. So Google Stonehenge 2023 or summer solstice 2023. What happens on the summer solstice, and this touches upon all you ignorant flat earthers. You know, we have working models that make predictions. The sun is at not just its highest peak of the sky in the northern hemisphere, but it is also the longest day of the year. And what happens is on that day, only once that year, the sun rises perfectly between these two stones at Stonehenge. So you mark that day. And this year it's Wednesday. Let me get back to my laptop. It's on a Wednesday. And if you studied the book of Enoch, those are called intercalary days or transitional days. And then Enoch said that they should be counted as Sabbaths. They should be added, or because men would go wrong if they didn't count them. So summer solstice 2023 is a Wednesday, June 21st. Now you go back 13 weeks, and then you can find your true biblical New Year. So the Sabbath days for the year 2023, according to the Gregorian calendar, will fall upon a Wednesday. Now, next year, when spring comes, if it be a leap year, I don't think this is a leap year, but it's not, then the Sabbath will revert back to possibly like a Tuesday. And eventually it's going to get back to a Saturday. But the Sabbath cannot stay the same on a Sabbath every day of the year. Why? Because there's a discrepancy there. The true biblical year that Yahuwah architect and formed from the foundations is 364 days. So if we have 365 days in this calendar, it's impossible mathematically for it to stay the same. So you have to subtract and you have to fall back a year. Thus, 365 divided by 364 is 1 over 364. That means you have to subtract a day from 365 to make it whole, a whole fraction. So with that, the other thing, I don't need to go into details. And that's why, because there are 13 weeks in between seasons, exactly 91 days. These are for you who have studied and read the book of Enoch, primarily chapter 74. And I forget what chapter it is in the book of Jubilees. Moses wrote the book of Jubilees, by the way. So that's why you have to study. And it's nothing that comes overnight. You have to study, put it down. You have to sometimes take notes. You have to let it digest, marinate, whatever you want to call it, and come back to it. And then you have to put it into practice and see if it's consistent and right. And after you've done it for a few years, then the clear clarity will come to you. Therefore, that's how it works. The Sabbath never continues to fall on the same day from year to year, according to this Gregorian calendar. I just want to keep it simple, because if I give you too much as far as why these days, and why a 7-day period is not quite, it'll only confuse you and complicate you. But that's how you do it. When Yahuwah told us to observe the month of Abib, Abib is spring. And to observe means you look for it. When that new moon comes forth, when he commanded us to blow the trumpets, we had silver trumpets that we blew to commemorate his feast days. And there are only 3 feast days. A lot of Hebrews tell you there's 7. There's only 3. And I forget let me find it for you, because a lot of Hebrews going to be tripping, But, a lot of them got these little calendars showing 7, but it's only 3. He said 3 feasts. Let me see. Let me Google it. I'm not good at, I should have had that note already. THREE, 3 feasts you shall keep unto me. KJV. You can find that in Exodus 23:14. There you go. In the law. He says 3 times you shall keep a feast unto me in a year. Okay, but we're not in our land. Passover is the only one we can keep because the Feast of First Fruit and Tabernacles, when you read the actual ceremony around it, it requires you to be in your land because he said, when you gather in the fruit of your land, this is not our land. Passover is the only one we can keep. We're still in captivity. We're still in exile. Okay. I see how I tend to get off track, but nevertheless, what was I saying? We blew the trumpet. He says, blow the trumpet in the new moons and the Sabbaths. New moons are not always on Sabbath days. Okay? Because the new moon comes forth on like 2 weeks before Passover and first fruits, which is the summer solstice right around there, and then ingathering, which is also known as tabernacles at the end of the year. That's why the trumpets were blown, because the new moon is a sign in the heavens that signifies that. So with that being said, the whole point of this video is to show you that the Sabbath day does not stay consistent on a Saturday from year to year. You have to check your work by going to type in, you Google summer solstice, the year in question, find out what day it is. Verify that day with Stonehenge, because they know, according to the global earth model, which is true, they know exactly when the sun is going to rise between those two stones perfectly. And it's like a large solar calendar. That's the longest day of the year. That is a Sabbath day. So you'll know what day that falls on, that those are Sabbath days. And then you can count backwards 13 weeks to find out when your first day of the year is. That's how you check it. So this year for 2023, the Sabbath day is on a Wednesday. Next year, it'll fall back to about Tuesday. If it's a leap year, it'll jump back 2 days, because remember, a leap year is 366 days. So with that being said, I just want to keep things short and simple. And that's it. I'll conclude it. Peace be with you.